Hi, guys. I wanted to address the three-fifths compromise with you guys because the public schools don't teach this properly, and I think that's by design because it raises up racial division, and I think that that's really, that's the indoctrination that the Democrats and the government-run schools. That's what they really want, is division between the races in this country. The three-fifths compromise was actually something that the abolitionists came up with. The abolitionists were um, people from mostly the North. This was before Republican or Democrat parties were even come up with. So, this was way back in the 1780s. I think it was 1787 or 1788. Um, that was not a Jim Crow thing. Um, and the reason that they came up with the three-fifths compromise was because the slaveholding states wanted to count their slaves as property and also as citizenry, but not be the slaves would not be able to vote. So basically what they were saying is we want to be able to count them so that we can get more delegates in the capital, so that we have more power, which is what we're talking about, like with states like California and Texas and places like that. They have a big population, and so they have more delegates than smaller states, which is why we have the Electoral College, by the way. um, the the three-fifths compromise made it where it wasn't that they counted each slave as three-fifths of a person. Those states were only allowed to count three-fifths of the slave population as as part of their population. So, because what was happening is we had so many slaveholding states that had so much control over the vote that the abolitionist states weren't able to vote slavery out. They didn't want to be part of they wanted to get us out of the slave trade. So, that's what happened. It's not to say that the abolitionists always considered the slaves as 100% people, but with this whole wanting to count them as population and also as property, that wasn't fair to the slaves, because these people were these states were voting for, and they had control over these people, and they would have still been in servitude for like hundreds more years because of them being able to use them as population. And so they would have more power even today in Washington, D.C. Imagine if we were bringing over, and we had slaves now, like if the South still had slaves and they were bringing over more and more and more people, hence like illegal immigration. Let's talk about that for a second, because California has tons and tons of people coming right over the border. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to make it legal for them to vote without being citizens of this country. So, but that was not the way it was back during this whole abolitionist movement. So it wasn't. This is the thing that really upsets me about public schools, is because, and people don't ever research. They just spout this stuff that they've been told for years and generations and all this time. And I mean, I agree that there is there's some inequality in education, because kids that come up in the ghetto, they're not getting a quality education. Why would they give them a quality education? It's just like when they were in slavery. If you teach them, if they get smart, then they start thinking for themselves. If they start reading, then there's a possibility they find out the truth. This has to do with Democrat control over people. This does not have anything to do with the Republican Party. The Republican Party actually was formed as an abolitionist party to abolish slavery. Also, the NRA was formed to make sure that slaves or former slaves were able to get guns to protect themselves from people that wanted to lynch them. Look it up, folks. It's right there in the history. It's so frustrating. This is what frustrates me, is that people just don't do research. They don't try to figure out, is this really true? Why would people do this to us? They just eat up what they've been told with a spoon and a fork, and they never take the time to actually learn both sides of the story. They've been taught to be victims. Now, this whole reparations thing, reparations, so as far as like the Native Americans living on, or the deal that the Native Americans have with the government, that has not made their lives better, y'all. It hasn't. If you've ever been on the Navajo Reservation or the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota, you guys, they're slums. The government doesn't ever do anything that is above, that's like, it's always subpar. So it has not made their lives better. It has not made their lives better. And there's a lot of white people, and there's a lot of Mexican people, and there's a lot of Japanese people, not as many as white and Mexican and black people. There's a lot of people that don't have one dime in the bank. Okay, I don't have that much money in the bank. I'm 51 years old. I can make plenty of excuses why I don't have money in the bank, but the biggest part is I haven't planned well enough. My mindset hasn't been right. Now I've changed my mindset. And that's the whole thing, is it's a heart change, it's a mindset change, and it is stopping thinking of yourself as a victim. Because and we as the church, we as the body of Christ, we have dropped the ball on this, you guys, because we need to be telling them, it doesn't matter what the world sees you like. It matters what Christ sees you like. And he sees you as amazing. You are worth dying for. And that's where we have dropped the ball. You do not want to live with the trappings of man, because it's never going to be good enough. It's not good enough. What Jesus has to offer is so much better, you guys. And this is what I try to tell people, is that we have to stop comparing ourselves to everybody else. Okay, we need to compare ourselves to Jesus. We need to see our eyes through Jesus's eyes. And we need to stop comparing ourselves, because if you're sitting here saying, well, I want what the Native Americans want. No, you do not. You do not. Why do you want to settle? And if they would listen to Donald Trump, they would know that he's trying to help. These opportunity zones. Also, you need to tell your friend about Mike Rowe Works. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mike Rowe, but he has a scholarship program for people who want to learn a skill. And I think he needs to get in touch with Mike Rowe. And his last name is spelled Rowe, Mike Rowe. So, because he could possibly get some scholarship money to help these kids. And I think it's very commendable. And I think a big thing that needs to happen in the Black communities is that the older men need to be there teaching the younger men how to be men. And the older women need to be there teaching the younger women how to act nice, how to act right. And I think that it's going to have to take a heart change. Now, I think that America, are we perfect? We are not perfect. But we do try to fix our mistakes. And we have to stop thinking of ourselves as victims. We are not victims. And if we get what we deserve, what does the Bible say we deserve? Because we are only righteous, we are only holy because Jesus made us that way. If we got what we deserved, we would burn in hell. And we need to change our attitude about that. We need to stop thinking of each other as victims. We need to stop comparing ourselves with other people. We've got to stop that. We have to stop it. Because if you start comparing yourself with someone, then you're only going to reach as high as they got. And if you are comparing yourself to somebody who hasn't gotten very far, that's not good enough for me. And I have faith. that people can do much better than they're doing, including Black Americans, including Native Americans, including Mexicans, including foreigners that come here and become citizens. We have to stop the comparisons. And we need to learn our history, guys. We need to learn our history. We need to search a matter out. And so feeling sorry for somebody isn't going to work. Having empathy for them and teaching them and showing them where they're wrong, and having a spirit of wanting to learn and wanting to teach, that's where we need to learn. I know I sound tough. I know I know that I sound like I'm upset. I'm not upset with you guys. I'm upset with the system that has taught people wrongly, because it's not right. And they're teaching them that, counting on the fact that they will not go and do their research, that they'll just believe what they've been told. And it's not okay. But it is okay to go and do research. And that's what I want to tell people is, y'all need to go do some research and find out the real story, and stop for God's sakes listening to these indoctrination centers that have told you the wrong history. For years they've been teaching the wrong history. But number one, the 3/5 compromise was not part of Jim Crow South. That was not. It happened way before then. And we've been trying to abolish slavery since the 1780s, guys. There have been abolitionists out there the entire time. So, and you need to realize that most people in the country, even then, didn't own slaves. It was a very small population of people that owned the lion's share of the slaves. So it wasn't all white people. Hell, my ancestors, we're from Israel and Lebanon. I never owned a slave. So, I mean, why should my family pay reparations? That's the whole thing. Like, this is, even the whole treaty with the Native Americans is absolutely stupid, because nobody has gone back and done the research and found out, who moved the natives to crappy reservations? The damn Democrats, you guys. This is yes, it's systemic, but they're looking at the Republicans as part of the system, and we've been trying to abolish slavery since our inception, guys. They don't even know that the Republican Party has always been against slavery. Always. That's why we formed. We formed as an abolitionist party. So please, for all the love of God, please do your research, because we're not going to help anybody if we don't know the real truth. But I love you guys. I'm sorry I sound so tough. I just get frustrated because I know people are being lied to, and I know people don't know their history, and it really frustrates me. And I just get so stinking mad because the black people that do go and do the research, they get called coons and Uncle Toms by other black people. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. Why wouldn't you want to know the truth? It just frustrates me. And it's because the Democrats have manipulated these people into thinking that all white people are bad and all cops are bad. That's crazy. That's insane. They are intentionally lying to people, and it's insane. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. See you later. Bye.